My mom's birthday seemed perfect, until my 9-year-old whispered on the phone, "Get out. Now." I didn't ask why. I just ran. It was just a birthday, a regular middle-of-the-road streamers and paper plates kind of birthday. My mom had made that lemon meringue pie she always makes when she wants to look low effort but still superior. My dad was telling one of his go-to stories about how tough things were back in his construction days. My sister Claire had brought balloons and was acting like she hadn't spent the morning screaming at her kids in McDonald's parking lot. In other words, everything felt normal. The kind of normal you stop noticing when you live inside it. Same smells, same voices, same rhythms, a few laughs, some complaints about the weather. My daughter Emie had disappeared off somewhere to play or read her book. There were cupcakes from Walmart, cheap wine from Target, background music from Spotify, no drama, no shouting, no tension I could feel in the air. I wasn't even thinking. I was just existing in it, floating through it, keeping my head down and my mouth shut like I trained myself to do. Keep things light. Don't bring up the hard stuff. Smile like you're not exhausted. Play along. Looking back now, I want to shake myself. How did I not feel it? How did I not notice anything was off? But I didn't. If anything, I thought maybe things were starting to get better, that maybe we'd all settled into some kind of peace. I even caught myself smiling once or twice. And then my phone rang. I pulled it out of my purse and blinked at the screen. Emie calling. That was strange. She usually just came and found me if she needed something. I looked around, didn't see her. Maybe she was upstairs or in the backyard. I answered. "Hey, what's up?" Her voice hit me like a slap. "Get out now." I stopped moving. The room didn't stop, but I did, like the air had shifted around me. "What happened?" I asked. "Just get out of the house, please, right now." Her voice was shaking. She was whispering. She sounded terrified. I stood up slowly. My mind went blank, then loud. What's going on? Did someone hurt her? Did she fall? Was someone in the house who shouldn't be there? I didn't ask anything else. Just walked out the front door. Not a word to anyone. Not a glance at the snack table or my mom's bright smile. Not a check for my keys or jacket. I just moved like my body had taken over, like I was outside of it, watching myself walk. When I stepped out, the air was still warm from the September afternoon. The garden smelled like freshly cut grass and cheap perfume. And there she was, standing by our Honda Civic, backpack over one shoulder, her eyes locked on mine. She wasn't crying. She wasn't moving either. For a second, my heart actually stopped. Before any of that though, there was a whole life that led us here. I was the oldest of 2 girls. You'd think that came with authority, leadership, maybe even a little favoritism. Not in my family. In my family, being the eldest meant you were the guinea pig, the let's see what happens if we do this child. When I turned 15 and got a job at Papa Joe's Pizza, my parents clapped like I'd just been crowned homecoming queen. Not because they were proud, because now I could help with the mortgage payments. "We all contribute in this house," my mom said, waving off my protests when I wanted to buy myself a pair of Converse sneakers. By 16, I was handing over half my paycheck and taking weekend shifts nobody asked me to take. I told myself it was noble, family-oriented, maybe even mature. Then my sister hit the same age. No job, no pressure, no mention of contributing. She got to sleep in and go to Westfield Mall with her friends while I was elbow-deep in pizza dough and overtime hours. I asked my mom once, gently, why that was. "She's just not built the same way as you," she said, as if I was a Honda Accord and my sister was a Porsche. "You're stronger, Ivy. You can handle more." So I swallowed it. I didn't want to be petty. I didn't want to make trouble. Besides, I was doing okay. I had plans. I had a future. Or so I thought. I married young. Too young probably. But I thought I was happy. My husband Blake was charming in that low-energy, laid-back sort of way that makes you think is easygoing. He wasn't. I worked a lot. I had a good job, better than good. Long hours at Midwest Insurance, good salary, solid reputation. Blake worked part-time at Home Depot. Said he wanted to spend more time with MIA. Said I was better at the career stuff anyway. And at the time, that worked for me. I didn't question it. I didn't realize how fast imbalance can start to feel like normal. Then things shifted, gradually at first. He got short-tempered, withdrawn, snapped more often. His presence started to feel like walking on cracked ice. Nothing broken yet, but you felt it in your steps. And it bled over, not just with me, but with our daughter too. Not hitting, not bruises, but shouting, slamming doors, long silences, threats muttered just low enough to deny later. The final straw was the beer bottle. He threw it across the kitchen. Didn't hit anyone. Didn't mean to, he said. But our daughter was in the hallway when it shattered against the wall. She flinched so hard she dropped her juice box, and something in me cracked. I didn't wait to see what came next. I packed a suitcase, took my daughter, and walked out. I went back to the one place I never thought I'd need again, home. Except it wasn't really home anymore. My parents took us in, technically, but it was clear from the beginning that it came at a cost. By moving back, I gave up my job. There was no way I could keep up that schedule as a single mom, not with court hearings, therapy appointments, school pickups, and a kid who had started flinching at sudden noises. And in my line of work, part-time options are like unicorns. I settled for something flexible and humiliatingly underpaid, a customer service job at Burlington Coat Factory. Enough to survive, not enough to live, and definitely not enough to support anyone else. Which was a problem, because for years, I'd been the golden goose. When I was still earning good money, I'd sent my parents cash every month, covered big bills, took care of small ones without being asked. I even paid for their all-inclusive cruise to the Bahamas 2 summers ago. They still talk about it like it was the highlight of their lives. So when the check stopped, their lifestyle took a hit. Quiet but noticeable. They weren't happy, not openly, but in the little things. The way my mom sighed when she looked at the electric bill. The way my dad brought up grocery costs twice a week. The way they suddenly forgot to add me to the family group chat. And the house was packed. My sister and her husband lived there too, along with their 2 toddlers who had the energy of caffeinated squirrels and zero volume control. They lived there basically rent-free. My parents doted on them, watched the kids, babysat constantly, bragged about them on Facebook. So I thought, if she can stay here with her circus, I can stay too, right? But it didn't feel right. From day one, I noticed the shift. Mia's drawings didn't stay on the fridge for more than a day. Her plate was cleared before she finished eating. Once she got scolded for talking too much when all she'd done was laugh at SpongeBob. There were stares. Not from everyone, but enough. She noticed it too. Of course she did. She stopped spending time downstairs. She clung to me more. She asked if we could have our own apartment soon. And I told her we would, that this was just temporary, that family was supposed to help. I really believed that, until the day she called me and told me to get out of the house. We sat in the car parked under a sad little oak tree in the empty Denny's parking lot. My hands were on the steering wheel, but I wasn't going anywhere. I finally spoke. Can you tell me what happened? She didn't hesitate. Not this time. Grandma and Grandpa and Aunt Claire, they don't want me there. She said it like she was reporting the weather, nothing personal. They were talking. I was in the bathroom upstairs. They didn't know I could hear. I stared straight ahead, let her talk. They said they're going to send me back to Daddy. That I'd be better off. That they're planning something. I didn't say anything. She had overheard a plan to hand her back to the man I'd taken her away from, and I hadn't seen a thing. When I was a kid, I thought betrayal would be louder, like someone yelling surprise, with a knife in their hand. Turns out it was quieter. Sometimes it hid behind bathroom doors and murmured through thin walls. Sometimes it was whispered by the people who raised you. I looked at her. They said what? She didn't blink. They're planning to make you lose me. They were talking in the kitchen. I was in the upstairs bathroom. They didn't know. I waited, braced myself. They said you'd lose custody anyway, that they could help it happen faster. That Daddy would take better care of me, and if I went back to him, then you'd go back to your old job. Start helping them again. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. They said you'd be better off too. She paused. They said they could plant something in your stuff, drugs, maybe, so it looks bad. And then call Child Protective Services. Silence. They want to frame me. She just nodded. Her lips were pressed so tight together they'd gone white. And you're sure? They said all this. They said it, Mom. They said it all. That I'm too much trouble. That I never stopped talking. That the house used to be so quiet and nice. They said you're not useful anymore. And that he was always the better parent anyway. I felt something shift inside me. Not snap, not shatter, just shift, like tectonic plates moving deep underground. So I packed what I could, she said. There's more upstairs, but I left. I called you. I looked down at her small JanSport backpack in the footwell. She'd remembered to grab my phone charger. I nearly lost it right there. Instead, I turned the key and drove. I didn't go back. Not for clothes, not for answers, not even for my toothbrush. I drove straight to Nathan's house. Nathan and I have been friends since we were 10. Never dated, never tried. Just one of those rare human unicorns, a platonic male best friend who shows up, keeps quiet, and always has extra shampoo. He opened the door with a Pepsi in hand and one sock on. I need to crash here, I said. He looked at me, then at my daughter, and stepped aside without asking questions. That's why he's still in my life. That night, we slept on his couch. Ma curled up beside me, too quiet for a kid. I stared at the ceiling, counting the rotations of his ceiling fan and trying not to scream. My phone buzzed 17 times. I didn't check it once. The next morning, I tried to be normal. I brushed my hair, found socks that almost matched, packed me as lunch for school, and added a napkin with a bad doodle of a cat wearing sunglasses. I kissed her cheek and said, "You're brave." She nodded. No smile, just solid bravery. We walked toward Lincoln Elementary, and they were there. Of course they were. My parents stood by the school gate like the mafia, except with tote bags and that fake polite tension people wear when they're about to say something awful. My daughter froze. "It's okay," I said. "Go in. I've got this." She ran off toward the building. I faced the enemy. "Where have you been?" My mom snapped. No good morning, no hug, no apology for plotting to destroy my life. "I think you already know," I said. "We've been calling all night," my dad added. "You disappeared with her." "I didn't disappear," I said. "I removed my daughter from a place where people were plotting to destroy my life." "I think you already know," I said. "We've been calling all night," my dad added. "You disappeared with her." "I didn't disappear," I said. "I removed my daughter from a place where people were plotting to destroy my life." My mom blinked. "Excuse me?" I didn't flinch. "She heard you in the kitchen while you were laying out your little custody sabotage plan." "That's ridiculous," she said quickly. "She must have misunderstood." "Did she misunderstand the part where you were going to plant drugs on me?" Her mouth opened, closed. A flush crept up her neck. "We were talking hypotheticals," she mumbled. "You've been stressed. You quit your good job. The custody fight is going nowhere. You've been struggling." I cut her off. "I've been struggling while you've been busy plotting my collapse because your cruise fund dried up." "That's not fair," my dad said. "We've helped you." I laughed. Actually laughed. "You housed me after I paid your bills for years. After I booked you 2 a week in Nassau and bought your damn Keurig coffee maker." My mom's eyes narrowed. "This is about money now." "This is about loyalty," I said, "which you sold for a better chance at pina coladas." "We just wanted what's best for her," my dad said. "You're fighting all the time in court. He was always so good with her." "He threw a bottle at the wall while she was in the room," I snapped. "He wasn't a father. He was a threat, and you knew that." My mom folded her arms. "You're being emotional. You're blowing this out of." "I'm done," I said. "I'm done letting you twist this. You tried to wreck my custody case. You tried to erase me as a mother so you could go back to being comfortable." There was silence. I looked between them. "You want comfort? You'll have it. Starting now, you'll never hear from me again. Not a cent, not a visit, not another ounce of me." "Don't be dramatic," my dad said. I turned around. "You haven't seen dramatic yet." And I walked away. That night, Nathan found me in his kitchen, arms wrapped around a mug of chamomile tea I hadn't touched. "You okay?" he asked gently. "No," I said, "but at least I know where I stand." Ma came out in her frozen pajamas, holding the bad cat napkin in her hand. She didn't say anything, just sat next to me and leaned her head on my arm. I didn't cry, Not because I wasn't devastated, but because I was too exhausted to. I'd lost my parents. Or maybe I just finally admitted they were never really mine to lose. You'd think after everything that had already happened, I would have learned to relax when things got quiet. But I didn't. Silence, I found, is just betrayal taking a breath. It had been weeks since we'd heard from my parents. No messages, no threats, no random cousin reaching out to check on us. Just stillness. Nathan called it peace. I called it suspicious. Mia was doing better, slowly. Sleeping again, eating again. She'd started drawing these odd little comic strips of wolves fighting snakes, and I didn't ask questions because they all ended with the wolf winning and curling up in a den with her cub. That was good enough for me. Then came the job offer. Remote work for a healthcare company, flexible hours, good pay, and I wouldn't have to sell my soul or give up seeing my kid just to afford name-brand cereal again. I didn't cry when I got it, but I did lock myself in Nathan's bathroom and laugh until I coughed. That job was my first piece of the old life, the good part, clawing its way back. So of course, that's when I saw the photos. I wasn't even snooping. I opened Facebook to check if Mia's school had posted any updates about the science fair. And there they were, my parents on a beach with Blake. Blake, sunburned and smiling like someone who knew the judge personally. Claire was there too, looking smug as a wet cat, holding a margarita like it was court-admissible evidence. The caption said, "Family first. So proud of the kind of dad he is to our granddaughter." I didn't drop the phone. I just stared at it, then turned the screen to Nathan and said, "Well, that explains why they've been quiet. They're tanning their betrayal." He didn't say anything for a while. Then he handed me a chocolate chip cookie. That's why I love him. 2 days later, Child Protective Services showed up. They knocked at 9 a.m. on a Thursday. I opened the door half-dressed. I was brushing her teeth, and Nathan was somewhere in the back trying to fix a leaky faucet with the world's smallest wrench. "We received a report," the woman said, clipboard in hand. Her colleague stood slightly behind her, scanning the apartment like we might be hiding meth in a potted plant. I didn't have to ask who reported me, but I did anyway. "It was your parents," she said. Of course it was. They said I'd run off with her, that I was unstable, that I didn't have a permanent home, that I was involving strange men in my daughter's care, which I guess was Nathan, who was currently in the kitchen pouring orange juice into a cup shaped like a unicorn. They checked the bedrooms, asked him a few questions, inspected the fridge, found nothing, said we'd hear back only if further action was needed. I thanked them with the emotional warmth of a frozen fish stick. Then I went into the bathroom and threw up. The next day, I sat across from my lawyer while he poked at a Caesar salad and said things like, "This is serious, Ivy." "No kidding," I muttered. He explained that if my parents testified for Blake in the custody case, which was now days away, it would hurt. A lot. "They're close family," he said. "They know you well. If they paint a picture of instability, it'll hold weight." I looked at my lawyer, who once wore a tie with hamburgers on it to mediation, and asked, "Do you think I'm going to lose her?" He sighed. "Not if she speaks up." That night, Emma asked me if she would have to talk in court. I said yes, if she wanted to stay with me. She didn't even blink. She just said good and went back to sketching her wolf comic. This one had snakes wearing grandma wigs. The courtroom smelled like disinfectant and broken dreams. Blake showed up in a suit so stiff it looked like it was wearing him. My parents came in after him, sat behind his chair like they belonged to him now. Claire didn't even look my way. Mia sat beside me, swinging her legs nervously. Nathan gave me a thumbs up from the back, a steady shadow. The first day was brutal. My parents took the stand and said I was moody and emotionally unstable. My mother said I'd always been too sensitive. My father nodded like he was being interviewed for a documentary called How to Destroy Your Daughter in Court. Claire echoed them. "Blake was a wonderful father," she said. "He stayed home. He cared for Mia. He was always patient." I wanted to stand up and scream, then why the hell did I leave him? But I didn't. I sat there, nails digging into my palms, while they described a version of me I didn't recognize. And then finally, it was Mia's turn. She took the stand like it was a school presentation. Looked at the judge, not at her father. "I want to live with my mom," she said. "She listens to me. She makes me feel safe. She's never yelled at me or thrown things." They asked about Blake. She hesitated. Then said, He gets angry. He throws things. He threw a bottle once. It scared me. Silence. I don't want to live with him. I don't feel safe. They asked if anyone else ever made her uncomfortable. My grandma and aunt said they wanted me to go live with him, that they were going to make mommy lose me. They said they'd put drugs in her bag to get her in trouble. Dead silence. During the break, Blake approached my mother. They were arguing. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw him grab her wrist, hard, sharp. She yanked it back. My father stepped in. Blake stormed off. That was the last time they ever stood near him again. The judge ruled in my favor. Full custody, no visitation, no contact. My parents didn't show up for the final hearing. A year later, I still wake up sometimes expecting war. But then I see Nathan making pancakes and MIA drawing her wolves, and I remember, we won.